आदरणीय दीदी, ओ दीदी, दीदी, ओ दीदी.
Well, that was fun. But can politicians actually do that? Can they mock each other the way we've seen in the run-up to so many elections? Or for that matter, again, something we've seen so very often, can politicians make fake promises during an election?
हम यहाँ आपसे झूठ बोलने नहीं आए हैं। मेरा नाम नरेंद्र मोदी नहीं है।
There are actually some do's and don'ts during election time. It's spelled out as the Model Code of Conduct, or the MCC, that's brought into effect by the Election Commission. I'm sure you've heard about that term, vaguely remember it from the school days. So in this video, I'm going to refresh your memories. So what really is the Model Code of Conduct, or the MCC? So the MCC is a set of rules, and when the Model Code of Conduct is put in place, there are several rules that politicians during campaigning, during election time, must keep in mind. All political parties have said that they will abide by this MCC and by the Election Commission's rules soon after the 1960 elections. So these rules ensure a free and fair election in India. All political parties have said that they will observe it in letter and in spirit. Whether that actually happens, we'll tell you in the course of this video. So now the next question, when does the MCC come into effect? Well, the day you have the Election Commission going ahead with that news briefing where they announce the poll dates, that's when the Model Code of Conduct actually comes into place. And it differs, of course, as to where the elections are happening. If it's state elections like we're seeing right now, that means that in that particular state, across the state, doesn't matter which phase, when they're voting, across the state, the Model Code of Conduct is brought in the day the poll dates are announced. Similarly, if it's general elections, then across the nation, the MCC comes into effect. So what are the restrictions that the Model Code of Conduct actually imposes? During election time, there are a number of restrictions, but let me just highlight 5 important ones and 5 perhaps that are almost always violated. The first one, no political party can secure votes on the basis of caste, religion, or any other issue. Do we see that happening? Almost every single time. It's the number one issue during an election and during campaigning. Number 2, political parties during their campaign can speak about policies, can speak about past records of the government, can speak about policies and the issue of development. But they cannot comment, make personal comments on any political party or on any political leaders. Again, do we see it happening? Most often, yes.
ইন্ডাস্ট্রির গ্রোথ কমে গেছে, শুধু দাড়ির গ্রোথ বাড়ছে, দাড়ির গ্রোথ বাড়ছে।
শাড়ি পরে আছেন, একটা পা ঢাকা একটা খোলা, এরকম শাড়ি পরতে দেখিনি। যদি পাটা বার করে রাখবেন, শাড়ি কেন বারমুড়া পরতে পারেন?
Number 3, threatening voters, giving out bribes, campaigning close to a polling booth, 100 meters from the polling booth. All of that is not allowed. Cash for votes, not allowed. We see it happening time and again. The Election Commission very often cracks down on this issue. Number 4, the issue of advertisements, which we see very often during the election season. All of it is allowed. There are several restrictions put in place, but the most important is that the money that's spent on these ads cannot be at the cost of the exchequer. Public's money cannot be used for ads. The Election Commission has very clearly stated. Number 5 is that any political party or leader planning to hold a campaign will have to inform local authorities and seek permission from them before going ahead with the same. This is essentially to ensure that law and order is kept in check and that all authorities are informed before any rally or campaign. So what happens when the Model Code of Conduct is violated? I give you 5 rules that are put in place, 5 restrictions. More often than not, they're violated in the election season. The Election Commission also very clearly and very closely monitors the election campaigns. And if they find a violation, what happens? Well, they cannot go ahead and take any action because they do not have judicial power. What they can, however, do is issue a show cause notice to the candidate or the party. They can also go ahead and take action like barring some of these leaders from campaigning for a few hours or a few days. And we've seen that kind of action being taken against some of the tallest leaders, tallest political leaders in different political parties. Now, what happens if you spot a violation, if you believe that the Model Code of Conduct and the norms that have been put in place have been violated by a political party or by a candidate? You can report it too. You can go ahead and use the C-Vigil app to report any violation, and the Election Commission is then committed to taking it up and acting on the same. We hope you found this video useful. Remember that if you're in a state that's going to polls right now, don't forget to exercise your franchise Don't forget to vote.